Hi everyone, you've probably been unlucky enough to meet me already. My name is Sean Quinn and I've designed this course for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. We've got a contributor who's also from the local area. Tara did once live in Wollongong area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and where did you go to uni, Tara?
I went to the University of Wollongong.
You went to the University of Wollongong?
I started at Wollongong University College. I'm not sure if they still have that.
They still do, that's where I started too.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
Because I was a high school dropout. So it was an avenue to go back to study. It was a fantastic avenue. I was at the Sydney campus. And yeah, it was a great experience.
It's a great experience. And did you start to think about writing as a career at Wollongong at that point, or had you thought about it earlier?
Since I was about 15, 16, I'd started to get interested in poetry and really start reading novels and when I did look into study, I recently spoke to an old tutor that I had, and she said, I remember you really wanted to be a journalist and wanted to do something special in the world and blah, 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 blah. And I'd kind of forgotten about that, but yeah, in my mind I thought, okay, I want to do writing, I'm interested in literature, but the avenue to sort of turn that into money, the only avenue in my mind I thought was to follow the journalism path. And so, yeah.
So do you
originally it was journalism. Sorry to interrupt.
Do you think that tutor helped you to discover other things that you would like to write about, or did you just take a different organic kind of pathway at that point?
The Wollongong University College was a really organic environment. It was a bit more relaxed. I think a lot like this program would be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she she encouraged my interest in journalism. She let me open a campus newsletter for the students.
Wow.
Sydney campus was a lot of students from overseas. So sort of had that tilt to the newsletter. And yeah, but I think sort of the first teacher to really encourage me to sort of discover or investigate for myself what the power of what literature could be for me, for my life, was originally he was a high school teacher, and he introduced me to Robert Frost.
Right.
My first sort of foray into poetry, and it was the Yellow Wood, which is really famous and probably on a Hallmark card somewhere. But it really the line two roads diverged in Yellow Wood.
Yep.
It really inspired me to sort of find my own path. And I actually, a few weeks after being introduced to the poem, dropped out of high school.
Yeah.
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 It was my
It was
path.
It was emancipatory. Did you feel freed by the poem?
Completely. It really, honestly changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because it just reminded me what you said there so much of famous Irish poet Seamus Heaney that just died at the end of last year, and the singer Gary Lightbody out of now it's going to disappear from my mind.
Don't worry, I don't know who Gary Lightbody
anyway,
is.
yeah, he just did this wonderful little piece to camera, and he said, kind of very disaffected youth going to school, on the way out the door, and then someone handed him a Seamus Heaney book of pro or novel, poems and stuff like that, and there's also a little bit of Heaney prose too. And he just suddenly found this connection with the world that he actually lived in.
Yeah.
Was a way into finding a different way of looking at it. There were aspects to the world that he lived in that he hadn't seen articulated in quite the same way before, and brought out there. So, in your experience with writing, do you find an anchor in the world that you live in and work away from that? Is that kind of how you write? From my experience of reading what you've written, it seems to be anchored in your own world a little bit.
In my own world, as in where I'm from?
Yeah.
With the first novel, it was all about like finding a sense of who I was, and sort of reeling like the fishing line back to that point, to that age where the character and I could reflect back on that age as myself.
Sure.
The protagonist and the age of myself, where I was. It's like you build your story of yourself. It's called, psychologists call it the reminiscence bump, and it's between the ages of 9 and, say, like 29 or 9 and 30. And it's basically a time of experience where all those experiences become the story you tell yourself that you are your story life.
Sure.
You understand? And so definitely in Spoiler, the anchor was from that kind of period of around 9.
Yep.
Characters' early memories, the recollection that the character goes back to mid-teens or later teens, and the process of working out who that person is and who that person is in preparation for the next stage, which is adulthood.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that way, it was so important to for the character and for the novel to look at the coast and look at the geography and look at the culture in the local area and look at family and this heavy importance in family, and look at these secrets and lost stories, and try and desperately, like you do when you're a teenager, to find some sense of identity and some sense of self in all the little bits put together. It might be friendships and social circles and all those things that I think it differs between people where they try and find that sense of identity. I think with fractured families, children from fractured families, sometimes you kind of pull on strings that are further back. So yeah, all those. That anchor was, yes, Wollongong. I grew up in Woonona, just on the border of the Lambie, in a little housing commission strip, as did May, the protagonist in Sworia. And many of the experiences came from real life, and many from imaginations, and the process of making fiction.
Yeah, melding them together into fiction, really, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah,
I think that's sort of common with first novels.
Do you find that stories themselves can be mentoring kind of vehicles?
Sure, definitely. Yeah. Novels have been that for me. Albert Camus' The Outsider. Poems, songs, works of art, films. I think they're more. I think there's sort of they're more moments.
Yep.
And there's moments and there's mentors. I think they're two, and they're both necessary in our lives. Both necessary in sort of working out what motivates us. We ask that of characters, but we need to ask it of ourselves too. You ask that of a character when you're creating. Okay, what is this character motivated by? Are they motivated by love or success, fame, family? What is it that drives this character? What do they want? What are they motivated before what they want? And it's the same we ask of ourselves, what motivates us? Like what resonates with us? What's truly resonating with us to lead us where we need to go?
I know particularly with my own undergraduate degree, I was very much anchored in that kind of researching stuff that was important to me, and that it was very first person in that sense, even though, I mean, we're told in university that you've got to be objective and you've got to approach material in these kind of ways. I don't think any of us really would be doing the work that is involved in that investigative process and research process if we weren't motivated by some kind of inner passion, or at least some kind of idea. There's a first person experience here that I want to get out there.
Right.
And I at least want to get out there for other people. Did that change then when you did later writing? And can you talk about how you went about developing subjects and themes in your later writing?
Did it change in my later writing? I'm hoping it is still changing. I feel like I'm still at the complete beginning of my career. And I'm like old, I'm 30, which is a bit silly. To teenagers, I'm definitely old. But no, I feel like I'm constantly researching. I think as when you're a writer, I'm trying to compare writing to academia, but I'm just going to speak from a writer's perspective.
Yep.
Because I'm going to confuse the two and assume and get it completely wrong. But I think as a writer, your life is your interest, your life is your research. And I've tried to, I think in a way, I've purposely tried to change up my life a lot to keep sort of that, to keep my perspective, to keep my interest, to keep my research sort of sharp, to keep learning, and to keep developing my perception of what it is to be human, what it is to be a society, what it is to be a community, what it is to have a relationship, all those things. So the answer is yes. So the question was, has it changed?
Has it changed? Yeah.
And the answer is, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope it's reflected through my work, that I'm growing up, that I'm maturing, that I'm learning the craft more, not just the craft of writing and of English usage and fiction and essay writing on the side, but of the craft of knowing
where to begin with it.
Not just where to begin with it, but that comes from knowing characters, like knowing life, knowing humans, knowing the heart, like knowing the motivation of people, learning more about the world around me. Like, it's all research, and by saying that, that's where to begin, is just by listening like a thief.